the resonance of my pitcher means I hear things differently, and I maybe had it too loud. I didn't realize that you could hear it.
Resonance of my pitcher. Men be making excuses.
Men,
when their glass pitcher's full of liquid.
Men be doing everything but go to therapy, right? Hello, listeners.
Oh, hi, listeners. Welcome.
Welcome to Say Smut, a literary podcast for readers and non-readers.
We are so happy that you are here today. That's Sarah, and she simply loves books.
And that's Hope, who not as simply loves to talk to me about books.
In a complicated way.
In a really complicated way. Each episode, I break down the plots of some pretty wild books to Hope, who has not read them. And I can guarantee you haven't read today's.
I have not.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
Can I just tell our listeners how cute you look right now? First of all, you got
Thanks.
these.
I'm ready for basketball.
I know. It's so clear. For those who don't know, Hope is a big women's basketball fan, and she went to the University of Iowa. So, of course, Caitlin Clark is head of her roster, too.
Yes.
But she's got these cute braids, like pigtail braids going on. And then she's got like a t-shirt, a white t-shirt on underneath a Indiana Fever jersey. It is so darling. And meanwhile, I just got done covering the P. Diddy trial.
We are having like different experiences.
Yeah, no, I'm having like here's my ratchet ass hair that hasn't been washed in 2 days, and my tank top and shorts. I just unplugged my headphones. And yes, I use wired headphones for those who are gonna judge me.
So do I. You don't see that, but know it in your soul.
You want to know something really sad about wired headphones that happened to me this week? Here, I'm gonna go on a couple tangents before we get started. I use these really cheap, like Sony $7 headphones when I work in the yard because I don't want to get my nice headphones sweaty and gross. So I was in the yard and I was bending over to snip a bunch of weeds with my little cutter, you know, I cut the cord.
Oh no.
And it was right when I was getting started for the night. And I was like,
that's the saddest story I've ever heard this week about corded headphones.
If you want to hear a tragic story, let me give you a Shakespearean tragedy for the record. It's me clipping my wired headphones. And somebody would say, Sarah, isn't that your lesson to get, you know, Bluetooth headphones? No, because I immediately ordered the same Sony headphones.
If it ain't broke, don't
well,
fix
it is broke.
Well,
I mean, definitely broke.
If it ain't been cut by shears.
If it ain't been cut, then
if it weren't broke before you broke it.
Look, if we're taking in a ratio of how many times I've worked in the yard with these headphones over the last, 5 years, I've definitely worked my little tushy off with those headphones and never clipped them once until... So, I mean, the proportions are on my side. The ratios on
now you know, next time, swing the cord back behind you.
Over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next time.
Well, before we get into our book, I did tell Hope I have a little TikTok drama for her.
I don't know if I'll ever emotionally recover from the saddest story I've ever heard about corded headphones, but I'll gird my loins for this one.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a tragic one. But I say it's TikTok drama, but it's like, okay, it's a conversation that's happening on Book Talk, which I find fascinating because people are defending AI with their lives.
Oh, no.
I don't know why we're doing that. Now, I'll disclose. When I look for books for this podcast, I find a lot of indie authors that I'm interested in their book, but they use AI cover art, and I don't want to support that. So then I'm like, no, we're not gonna cover the book if for the category of cover I have to give a 0, right?
Yeah.
But the conversation on Book Talk, particularly in the last week or two, is the idea of these AI chat bots that are focused towards like book boyfriends or book girlfriends. So what they do is they take artists' work, like authors' works, and they will submit the book to be analyzed by AI, and then they will create a chat bot that you can interact with that's based like that character. Yep. Yeah. And the worst part is like there's so many amazing authors who have had their work stolen for this type of technology.
No, thank you.
Then on top of this all, is the Book Talk Big 3. I honestly have never heard of them in my life, and I've been chronically on Book Talk since 2020. And it's these 3 women, I believe, who I don't think they self-proclaim themselves as the Big 3. I think their fandom has called them the Big 3. They just have large fandom victims,
Yeah.
right? But one of them did a sponsorship post promoting one of these AI chatbots.
Oh no, don't
And
do it.
what's the most embarrassing part, though, is that some of these people who are embracing these chatbots, their authors that they're big fans of, like their favorite authors and stuff, are coming out being like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah, please don't.
I hate that you're doing this. Do not support this. Some of them are blocking these creators. Some of them are like,
That's
I'm
crazy.
like, clearly you hate me, like, for doing this to my work. Like, anyway.
That's insane. Hey, as the wise Kendrick Lamar once said, but I'm going to edit it because bad words. Mother F the big three.
Yeah.
It's just big me.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's just these big authors that should be able to control their work. And look, we won't, if you guys want to talk about fanfic, you can go back to, which one did we do the fanfic conversation about?
Oh yeah, the publishing fanfic.
God damn it.
It was about having to publish it.
Yeah, it was about 50 Shades of Grey, and it was about was it the Love Hypothesis? Because that was Raylo fanfic originally.
Yes. And then we were also talking about binding fanfiction and whether or not you could sell it.
But fanfic is, again, another form of artistry, I would argue. And it comes with love and respect for that author, right?
Right.
So, like,
human beings are making art out of art that inspired them,
and they're not profiting off of it, right? Like,
no, not usually.
They shouldn't be, at least. And so it's a little like, okay, you're gonna allow chatbots. For what purpose? Too, like, why don't you?
So you can flirt with your favorite book boyfriend or girlfriend.
Look, I'm Delulu like the rest of everyone, like online, right? Like, I love my favorite book boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, it's great. But I can touch grass and realize that they are a fictional character made out of love and artistry from an author who created them. I don't need to have a chat box to chatbot to interact with them.
I would just generally recommend, if you are considering conversing primarily with a chatbot for something, finding a different human being instead.
Yeah.
Almost any other human being. A human one.
Yeah.
In person with a body.
It's funny you mentioned that. I am a big Bravo fan, and there's a couple, Craig and Paige, who broke up a while back now. But Craig is kind of I don't know, in my mind, a loser. And he admitted recently that he used ChatGPT to be his therapist through his past relationship. And everyone's like, this makes sense now.
Don't do that.
This makes so much sense.
Hey, don't do that.
Oh, you guys.
I don't recommend it. Don't do it.
No. So all of this to say, we will have to closely follow this conversation online, because I think it's if anything, as somebody who's been in media, and you've been in media, like us watching AI unfolding, creating media, is fascinating and scary. But also it's like your favorite authors are telling you to stop.
Yeah. If your favorite author in the whole wide world says, please don't do this, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Have respect.
RESPECT.
Yeah. As Aretha once said. So with that said, we're going to dive into a book today that could not have been written by AI. It couldn't have the heart. It couldn't have the tenacity.
Get the nerve
that one of our favorites came up with for this story. Okay.
I'm so excited.
We are returning to the world of Vera Valentine, who gave us Unhinged.
Oh my God.
I know. Very exciting to cover Cold Sweat. And I thought this was appropriate because a lot of us are dealing with some heat waves.
It's hot
right now. It's fucking hot.
So fucking hot.
You know those memes that are like, I'm sorry for what I said when I was overheating? Like, that's me all during the summer. I'm like, I can't handle heat whatsoever. I'm on antidepressants. My body cannot cool itself.
Look, we are on antidepressants. You won't see me outside most of the time.
No, ma'am. I recently bought a house and the whole backyard is completely shaded. And I was like, this is a perk of the house. I do not want to be in the sun.
Big congratulations to Sarah for getting a house.
We'll see. We still have to close in a couple months and a lot can happen until then. And I just have tremendous anxiety. So who knows? I could come back and be like, nope, I'm still in the same place I was 2 months ago.
And that's okay.
That's okay. We're learning. We're growing. So before we dive into cold sweat, I want to give some content warnings. And if these are not in your wheelhouse, you subscribe, you rate us 5 stars because you're like, I'm not sure yet. You can always change your rating later.
Yeah.
This is a little plug to be like, hey, subscribe, rate.
This is a
hang
really
out with us.
insane bid to get you to give us a 5-star rating without having listened to a single episode.
But if you have listened to an episode, and this just needs to be your, weekly reminder, come back, subscribe, come back, join us another time. But the content warnings for this episode include step siblings that met when they were adults. Okay. They are full-grown adults. They did not grow up together. I want to emphasize that.
Content warning, step siblings.
Well, step siblings in the way that you would think a step sibling situation would roll out in this podcast.
Right. Probably in a sexy way. Yeah,
Yes.
I got you.
We might have a little bit of a claustrophobic situation happen. So I don't want anybody to be, if you're like, I can't imagine being stuck in a certain area, that's maybe confined spaces. I get it. We will have sexual content that does feature glass penetration. Okay. So, Storygraph, it has a 3.55. Goodreads, it has a 3.5. And if you needed a reminder on our friend Vera Valentine, I will happily quickly go over her bio from Amazon. An unapologetic book huffer and devourer of stories, Vera Valentine has carried on a torrid love affair with the written word for nearly all of her 40 years. Hey, can you stop messing with our document?
You're so sorry.
For those who don't know, Hope and I work off the same document. And then when she starts deleting things, it moves around what I'm looking at.
It truly did not occur to me. And I'm so sorry.
Hey, could you just shut the fuck up over that? No, I'm kidding. Grown in the diner-laden wilds of New Jersey Pine Barrens and transplanted to North Carolina, she lives with her husband, 8 cats and 2 dogs, most of which are house trained. An avid fan of the paranormal Why Choose / queer polyam genre, she initially tossed her author hat into the ring in September of 2021. Since then, she's applied her pen to more than a dozen books full of spicy romance, angst, and dry humor, including fear-feeding cryptids, Easter Bunny, aliens, and Omega-verse balloon animal shifters, which is one I've been holding on to for a while. I've had that since the beginning. Oh, all right. How are you feeling going into this?
I'm so excited. Let's roll.
Okay. Well, I want to start with a question, as I typically do.
Yeah.
Have you ever started any sort of relationship or friendship, any sort of interaction with somebody, interpersonal relationship with somebody where you guys are on 2 different pages?
I mean, surely.
I mean, like,
that's true.
when you're like, I hate you, but the other person thinks you're best friends. Or if you're like, I think that we are closer than we probably actually are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those types of things.
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what happened with our main character, Jules, and her stepbrother, Red. Jules' mom is a divorcee, and she went on a vacation to Mexico with some of her fiber arts friends. And she met her now partner, Dan. He's a beverage salesman, and the 2 fell in love. And a year later, they were back on that same beach where they met, and they got married. So,
wow, beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful. Jules is in college and she comes home often. And when she comes home, she has to share a living space with not only her newlywed parents who are getting it on like rabbits,
That's newlyweds for you.
But she also has to share the space with her stepbrother, Red. Now, here's what you need to know about Red. Red did not go to college, to my knowledge, at least. It's never addressed, but he is known to be working at some seedy demolition company, job, where he gets paid under the table. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he lives in the house full time, but he does not make it easy for Jules when she's around. Okay.
Sure.
What are you smirking about?
Just all of it. I'm so happy. Just keep going.
Yeah, we're setting a tone for sure. Jules describes Red as a mega fuckboy. Okay.
That I think is gonna track.
Yeah. Unless it's snowing, he's always wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and cut off jeans, like shorts. Yeah, jorts.
Sandals, maybe.
Oh, for sure. And he has like a cocky swagger, like he's God's gift to women. Okay.
Annoying.
Even if Jules looked past the way he gives her like hooded glances or says her name in kind of a sultry tone, she is kind of like weirded out by him because he watches mild hentai in the living room of the house when their parents are out of the house. Can you tell us briefly what hentai is for those who may not know?
Why do I have to tell you? That's not my research.
No, it is not. But do you know what it is?
Isn't it like cartoon porn?
Yes, it's like anime
porn,
like sexual anime porn.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to point out that was not my research.
No, it was not. I wanted to make sure our audience knew.
For just a brief moment, I was sweating like I didn't Google it.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, hentai is like anime or like any sort of animation that is like sexual in nature. It's pornography. But he watches like mild hentai in the living room.
Weird.
When she's home.
Weird vibe.
She knows it's happening and thinks he's doing it to make her uncomfortable. But whenever she like comes out of her room or like walks by the living room, he like pauses it or mutes the sound. And so he's like kind of weird about it.
No one knows this is happening if you can't hear it.
So yeah, you've got a picture of Red now.
Okay. Sounds like a creep.
So let's come up on the day in which we start this story. Jules is trapped in her room per usual as her parents are wrapping up having like the loudest sex in the room next door. Okay.
You could leave your whole house. That's just something I would advise. Continue.
Yeah. And she's like got her headphones on, probably not corded headphones on. And
she's high tech.
Yeah. And they always, when they finish sex, go out for a meal. So once she hears the front door slam, she knows she's in the clear. She's like, okay, all right, they've left.
They're out for that post-coitus dinner.
Literally, I think that's exactly how she describes it.
Great.
Yes. So now she's alone with her stepbrother. She knows that he is watching that hentai out in the living room, and she's going to avoid him at all costs, except for the fact that it is fucking freezing in this household.
Oh.
Okay. So she like shuffles out of her bedroom and like goes up, kind of like curled in, like trying to keep herself warm. Yeah. And she's like looking at the thermostat and it reads 60 degrees. What do you keep your thermostat at?
Like 68.
I also do a good 68.
I was going to say, people come to my house in that hunched over cold position because I simply cannot be hot. I will not make it.
Let's emphasize the fact that we are incapable of being the slightest bit warm.
Cannot be sweaty or it's over.
So she knows that this thermostat was installed by Dan and Red because it's like one of those smart thermostats. And so she like is like, okay, I'm going to have to ask Red to fix this. So she calls him over and is like, Red, what's going on, with the thermostat? And when she calls out for him, she hears him squeakily get up from the leather couch. And then a heavy thud, thud, thud as he steps down the hallway. And a sloshing that echoes toward her. Do you feel like you know where this is going?
Yeah, I feel like I've known where this is going pretty much since you started describing this person and their name was Red.
Yeah. I can't wait to reveal to you that Red is in fact a giant sentient glass pitcher of chill assist punch.
Chill assist punch is refreshing.
Yes. So yes, he is a giant glass pitcher
of
chill assist punch
named Red.
And
he works in demolition.
Now I should reveal that you have been asked to the reason you probably got to this conclusion was because I asked you to, for no reason at all, look into the Kool-Aid man. I won't have you give your research quite yet because I want to finish giving the scene. Okay.
Yeah, you just say when and I'll hop right in.
I want to explain to our audience why you are already there.
Yeah, why Hope's been laughing the whole time is because of my research.
So if you wanted to know how he came to be, He was the byproduct of Dan's torrid affair with a pallet of the drink powder at a drunken office party many years ago. Because remember, he's a beverage salesman.
He fucked a pallet of
Powdered
juice
drink
beverage.
mix.
Okay, well,
Yep. And
no questions from me.
He lives a really complicated life, but the man is, by the way, the house is described as practically all white, like white leather couch, white pillows, white, and
No
he
problems.
has never gotten a like drop on anything. So like he can navigate himself pretty well.
Sure.
At this point, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about the not related at all Kool-Aid man.
Before I start,
okay,
I just have a question just because it popped into my head. It's completely unrelated to my research. If a glass person with fruit juice inside them knocks out some of their fruit juice, will that kill them? Do you think?
We will talk about that.
Okay,
that will be
cool. Forget I asked. It entered my mind and I wanted to say
there's going to be a lot of questions that I'm going to pleasantly tell you are answered in this book because we trust Vera Valentine to give us excellent descriptions.
Okay, well, with that out of the way, welcome to Kool-Aid Man lore.
That will also be addressed.
Yep. Thank you so much to Advertising Week special assignments writer Zoe Rose, and also to Hastings Museum in Nebraska for all of my information.
Hastings Museum.
We'll get there.
Great.
And we'll get there and we'll leave almost immediately.
Okay.
Let us open with a delightful quote from Advertising Week special assignments writer Zoe Rose. Quote, "The Kool-Aid Man, an iconic figure in advertising, has a rich history that dates back to the mid-20th century. The anthropomorphic pitcher of Kool-Aid has become a beloved character known for his enthusiastic catchphrase, 'Oh yeah!' and his dramatic entrances through walls. Let's dive into the history of this vibrant character, exploring his creation, evolution, and cultural impact." We're not going to really explore his cultural impact, but I'm going to tell you how he came to be, though.
Amazing. That's what I want to know.
Great. So welcome to my research. Did you know that the creator of Kool-Aid was originally from Iowa?
Really?
Yes, Lewis, Iowa, which is right by Nothing and slightly south of and in between Des Moines and Omaha.
Okay, so southwest Iowa is what you're saying?
It's not super southwest.
I'm looking it up on a map.
Like, yeah, you'll look it up on a map and you'll think, not around much.
Yeah, because I've lived over in those parts one summer.
Right.
And so I'm sorry, everybody. This is a huge Midwestern thing to do.
Among us haven't made the Des Moines to Omaha commute?
Yeah, for those who need it, I'm going to tell you right now, it is south of Atlantic.
That is exactly the reference point that I found. It is south of
Yes,
Atlantic.
it is south of Atlantic. It is north of Griswold.
It is west of Adele.
It is west of Adele, yes.
Southwest of Adele.
Excellent. All right. I'm so glad we got there. Thank you.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Heck yeah, Kool-Aid is Iowan. No, it's not.
Oh, great.
Kool-Aid inventor Edwin Elijah Perkins and his whole family moved to Nebraska during his childhood. And so technically it wasn't invented there at all. He invented it in Nebraska before.
But Nebraska is practically Iowa. I'm going to piss people off by saying
all right.
That.
Well, Godspeed.
I'll say that you had to create all of your cities on the border of Iowa. So I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying. I'll say it. No, controversial.
That's okay. That's okay. She said what she said. Sarah didn't ask me to tell you the history of Kool-Aid, so I'm mostly not going to. But Perkins, who is an entrepreneur, originally sold a bunch of different products, including fruit drink concentrates, under the brand Honor Made. And that fruit drink concentrate was created in 1927. It was originally called Fruit Smack, which is a fascinating name choice, but it came as a liquid. It was like in a glass jar, like a syrup,
not like a powder.
Yeah, not like a powder. And then they were like, wait, this is so messy and so much more expensive. What if we made it a powder? And also, what if we renamed it Kool-Aid? And so they did. But in the 1920s, early 1930s, we've got this fruit drink mix. We've got Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. So while Kool-Aid has been jamming up drinks since the 20s, the iconic, beloved, feared, sexy Kool-Aid Man would not be born until way later in 1954. to proud Papa / art director Marvin Potts.
Here, I'm going to say something.
Go for it.
I feel like mascots for companies became really big, specifically in like the mid 1900s to the late 1900s. I don't feel like we get them as much now, but you know what I mean? Like, I think
the
about
Mad Men era.
Yeah, that is so fucking true.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry. I'll let you continue with your research. I'm just
That's
having
okay.
this revelation.
So Marvin Potts worked for Foot, Cone, and Belding marketing firm, and they were asked to, create a design for Kool-Aid. His initial design was inspired by smiley faces his son drew on frosted windows.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I
So
can see it.
yes, the original Kool-Aid Man was just a glass pitcher called Pitcher Man, and he did not have limbs, but he was pretty cute, and it was like a glass pitcher with condensation and then the face drawn out of the condensation. Just a cute little pitcher guy.
I do see you have a graphic in our document.
I do. For purely Sarah's purposes, because it would take a million years to try and describe all of this.
No, but
I've
we
just
will put
shown
it
her
on
a
our
time.
social.
Yeah, I've shown her a time progression of how Pitcher Man / Kool-Aid Man has looked over the years. So yeah, OG Kool-Aid Man, who is actually just called Pitcher Man, cutie patootie, didn't have any limbs, wasn't breaking any walls. We would not get closer to the terrifying home invader with limbs until the 1970s, when gray advertising took over the marketing for Kool-Aid. So what were Alan Kupchik and Harold Karp at Gray's Advertising smoking when they decided to upgrade the beloved Kool-Aid Man? Who could say? But they decided to give him arms and legs and make him 6 feet tall and have him burst through walls yelling, "Oh yeah," whenever kids call out, "Hey, Kool-Aid," in commercials. And he has been a menace to society ever since. They were like, I know what's going to upgrade this Kool-Aid Man. Let's give him limbs. Let's have him busting through walls. Let's have him yell in a catchphrase. This is what we need. For a while, the Kool-Aid Man's face, and I think in Pitcher Man's face, like it would move. It was animated and he would talk and there would be like a voice actor and so you would see him speaking. But after a while, they decided to make his face static and focus more on the busting through walls. And that's my research. That's how we got the Kool-Aid Man.
That's interesting. I do think it's cute that, like it came from the sun. Because I think we've all done that, right? Like, yeah. But I do think it's funny. Like, where did we go? How did we get to the point of like bursting through walls? I will say there is no bursting through walls for this book.
No, just the reference that he works in demolition
for
which
sure.
Is very funny.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. Now that you pointed it out, this
very
book has a lot.
Funny.
Okay, this book has a lot. And I will tell you that did go on the back burner for me, that I didn't process it right away.
From me personally, Vera, that's so funny.
Vera, that was an excellent
hilarious addition. Something I will say quick, just as a descriptor for the audience, I do have a little timeline of a variety of Kool-Aid men, and the first 1, 2, 3, 4 of them have no clothes. The first one, no limbs at all. He starts kind of having stick arms and legs in the 50s. In the 70s, he's got more robust arms. In the 80s, he's like chunkier. And then in 95, he starts sporting like swim trunks and a Hawaiian shirt. And then the 2000s, they made him a little bit cuter and he still got clothes. But then in 2013, it looks like they stripped him of his clothes entirely and made him even rounder and cuter and kind of less likely to break through walls, I would guess. Hard to say. In any case, it's a lot. He's going through a lot of looks.
He's gone through his phases.
I would place Red I bet Red's fashion influence would be inspired by possibly the Kool-Aid Man of 95 to 2000.
That would be correct. That would be indeed correct.
We need to know about that and where they related, but they're not. They're totally
But they're not.
Separate.
This is chill assist. So like
chill. I need to write that down.
Also, you better be making a drawing for this.
Chill assist.
So getting back into our scene, let's not forget that it's freezing in this house and she's asking him to fix the thermostat.
Right.
He says that he can't fix it, but when his dad comes home, they will get it back, to normal, whatever. In the meantime, he's like, there's a blanket on the couch that you could cuddle up with. And he's like, you could come sit with me on the couch. And she's like, but she also doesn't want to like bow down to him because she's a little like, you have taken over my house and I
Right.
need to gain some control back. Okay. I need to get the ball needs to be in my court. You know what I mean? So she heads over to the couch, gets the blanket, and then he's kind of tripping over his words like he wants to tell her something. And he's like, I mean, like, unless you want to, well, no, you probably wouldn't like it. Never mind. And she goes, what wouldn't I like, Red? And he slowly turns around to look at her as to not splash his chill assist anywhere.
Don't splash that chill assist. I'm always saying that.
He tells her that Dan gave her mom a gift for their anniversary yesterday and they installed it this afternoon. They could use it to get warmed up even if their parents, hadn't used it yet. They were like, quote, thought it might be quicker way to warm up than the blanket. I'm sure they won't mind if you pop its cherry.
Gross. What a
Mhm,
well,
mhm.
he's juice. Sorry. I
And
keep forgetting that chill assist is juice, so that's actually funny again.
it
Funny
is.
again, Vera. You keep cracking me up.
And so she comes over to the window to see what he's looking at, and a few feet away in the backyard is a sauna. So she's like,
Interesting.
you know what? That's exactly what I need. I have been so stressed out because I've been working up the courage to tell my mom that I want to drop out of college. And I've just been freaking out that she's going to lose her mind at me. And so I just need to relax in the sauna for the afternoon and have it, or the evening, and I have a good time. Right.
Right. You
So
gotta
she
chill.
runs, chill,
Nah,
but get warm, but chill.
but get warm and chill.
Warm up. Yeah. So she runs back to her room, puts on like athletic shorts and a tank top, and like eagerly makes her way out to the living room. But Red is nowhere to be found. So she's like, did I get rid of him? Like, is he's
Did I get rid of him?
rid of him? Like, is he going to leave me alone for the rest of the night? But she has no such luck because when she goes out to the backyard, he is standing in front of the sauna wearing flip flops, a Hawaiian floral print swim, and why can't I say this? And Hawaiian floral print swim trunks.
Good.
And he's like messing around with the control panel. And she's kind of like doing that thing where she's like, so you're going to join me too?
Yeah, we're
Like,
both doing
we're
this.
doing this together. And he's like,
okay.
yeah, I thought we could try it out together, blah, 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 blah. Okay. He even says, quote, I think I put too much ice in earlier. Couldn't hurt to water myself down because
Oh, sure. Maintenance.
yes.
I assume.
So I want to note it now because I couldn't put in every little reference, but like there are so many references to the fact that he's like clinking around because he's got ice cubes in his jug,
Obviously.
and like his arms clink when he folds his arms over each other, like it's
Right. Because he's made of glass.
Literally.
He's a glass pitcher.
Perfectly described. So he holds open the door to her and she like squeezes around his big belly. And I'm also again going to disclose now that the door to the sauna is a sliding door and not like a swinging door.
Oh no, how's he gonna fit in there?
Well, that's why they did it, was so like, it would slid open wide enough so that he could
sorry, to
fit
accommodate.
inside. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
afraid like it would be too narrow and
No,
not
no.
movable. Gotcha.
But even though it's a really fancy sauna, it is still confined spaces. And Red asks Jules if she's okay because she seems really stressed out lately. And she confesses to him that she wants to quit school and she's worried about her mom's reaction. And they have this really lovely conversation about why she wants to leave. And he's like, I think you'd be surprised about your mom's reaction because she really misses having you around and she wants you around more. And Jules is shocked how like genuinely engaged and caring he is during this conversation. Mm-hmm.
What a nice guy.
So she realizes she doesn't really understand how his anatomy works.
And none of us do, but it is rude to ask.
Yeah. Well, that's the question, right? Is it rude for her to ask? So she's like,
how do you function?
Yeah, like, is the sauna situation okay for you, or is that gonna like, warm up your
insides? Will your insides evaporate?
Yeah, like what's gonna happen here? And he's like, oh, it takes a lot more than this to take me out. And she's like, well, I don't know what the protocol is. Like, and I thought it'd be offensive.
Don't find that reassuring.
Yeah, and he tells her that she can ask him anything.
Oh, okay.
What are you gonna ask him? If you can ask your
what
stepbrother,
that dick do? Not with that dick deal. I want to know how it works, but I wouldn't ask my stepbrother that.
Well, she takes the challenge because this guy has made her feel uncomfortable a number of times. And she's like, this is my turn to get one over on you. You know, I want to make you feel uncomfortable.
Weird
So,
flex.
so she starts to ask him essentially what he's got going on in his pants when a loud crash sounds outside. What happened was a tree branch crashed down in front of the sliding door. And while it doesn't damage the sauna, it wedged where the sliding door is supposed to move.
Oh,
So
no.
they are now stuck in a sauna together.
I hope that it's not too hot because this guy's going to evaporate.
Possibly. They realized that their parents went to a taco place like 45 minutes away. So they're like, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever for them to get home. And we're going to be stuck in this sauna, blah, 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 blah. Thankfully, Red set the warming mode to like a very, very low heat.
Okay, cool.
And he's like, are you claustrophobic? And she's like, no, but I'm just like, the heat is getting to me a little bit. And Red immediately like starts taking care of her.
He's like, jump inside my head.
Why don't you pop in for a quick dip?
I will cool you down with my ice cubes.
So he, as his ice is actually holding up pretty well in his jug. And so his cold, like glass exterior is like, you know, has condensation. It's cold. Mm-hmm. So he's like, here. And he holds up her hair off of her neck and like presses his like chilled hand against the back of her neck. And it like cools her off. It's very sweet. And she just is really fixated on the fact that Red is not being as creepy as she expects of him, right? He's checking in with her, making sure it's okay if he touches her, and like is using this really caring tone when she always felt like he was kind of being sleazy to some extent, right? And Jules gives herself a moment to think about how weird it is to be thinking about her stepbrother this way. But she quickly reminds herself, like, we only met as adults. We didn't grow up together. We are nothing like siblings.
Definitely not related.
We are not related. We've never like even like really lived in the house together or anything, you know. So he decides to distract her by being like, what were you going to ask about my glass lifestyle before the tree branch cut you off?
My glass lifestyle.
I mean, like, I'm paraphrasing, but
I wish that was the quote.
I do too.
That your paraphrase is my glass lifestyle.
My glass lifestyle. So she goes on to be like, no, I'm sorry. I was going to be kind of a bitch and ask it's a question that could have come off as pervy, like, and he's like, I really want to know now. And she's like, well, again, I'm not trying to be a perv. But I was also wondering if you're like glass, you know, all over. And he said, I wouldn't even care if you were being pervy. Like, we're both adults. And she's taken back. She's taken back by this. And because she's like, we're siblings. And he says, quote, step siblings, Jules, and barely that. It's not like we grew up together. I'm a man that happens to be a glass pitcher of liquid, not blind. You're gorgeous. Your little like whimper laugh.
I'm a man who happens to be a glass pitcher
of liquid.
And
I'm not blind.
I'm not blind.
He then confesses that he's had feelings for her since their parents' wedding. But
sorry.
No, say it. Say it.
I was gonna say, that's why I've been muting the hentai every time you come into the room.
Oh, just wait. I'll get there. I'm about to get there. 2 bullet points, okay? He's like, I've been into you since our parents' wedding, but I didn't want to make anything awkward and like make a weird vibe. And she was like, what? You're like watching these sex cartoons all the time. And he starts blushing, which they kind of describe his blushing as like his face paling a little bit. Like instead of his face going red because he's already red.
His face goes white.
Yeah. He just gets little pale marks on his cheeks. He was like, I really only watch like the really tamer ones in the living room. And it's always like when our parents are out. And I think that you're always in your room. And honestly, I watch the mild ones out in the living room because out of respect for you. I don't want to watch like really intense stuff out there. And I'm a little like, this is a terrible explanation. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Dude, what?
Yeah,
you're in a living room.
You're in a living room. Yeah. And she's like, he says, you're typically in your room and like, I never thought you could hear it. And, but maybe like the resonance of my pitcher means I hear things differently. And I maybe had it too loud. I didn't realize that you could hear it.
Resonance of my pitcher. Men be making excuses.
Men,
when their glass pitcher's full of liquid.
Men be doing everything but go to therapy, right? Well, she's like, he explains this like he's been doing it out of respect for her. And she's like, well, I definitely heard it. And I thought you were doing it to make me uncomfortable. And
I was uncomfortable.
And I was very uncomfortable. He promises that's not the case. And in fact, all the times that he's been like low-key flirting with her, he thought it was like a funny thing, like a bit that they had. And he was like, if I would have known it made you uncomfortable, I would have stopped. Like, I'm so sorry. After establishing his alleged pure intentions, I still think it's weird that he was watching that in the living room, but okay. Yep. She just is like, you know what? He just has the hots for me. And like, that's sweet. Like, I'm flattered, right? Like, who doesn't like being told they're hot, right? So he realizes how tense she is. And he's like, I could offer you a massage.
I understand that I am making you tense by talking about my hentai thing. Would you like me to give you a massage?
Well, in fact, they were talking about it in reference to like her not sleeping well in the house and how her neck and back are like fucked up. And like, he's like, well, I could, give you a massage. And while he's giving her a rub down, she asks again about his anatomy, and he confirms it's all glass and it's all functional, and all of his exes have never complained.
All right. Well, they make glass dildos.
Well, we'll get to that one too. So she asks if it, quote, rises to the occasion. And he says, quote, I'd offer to show you what it looks like soft, but I'm afraid that's not possible at the moment.
Ha ha ha.
She turns around to find out he is tenting in his swim trunks. And he admits that he's hard from, quote, getting my hands on the woman I dream about every goddamn night.
All right. We're in there.
We are now full steam ahead. All right. But he tells her it doesn't have to be a big deal. They can act like none of this happened, right? Like, this was a weird convo. It was a weird interaction. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Clearly I have. I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah.
But Jules is just a little too curious. And she's getting a little turned on. So she asks to see it. And he's like, be my guest. So she does like rub it on the outside of his clothing, but it's not long until she's taken it out of his shorts.
I mean, you gotta know what it looks like.
You got it. Like, who at that point you are past the point of no return,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, we are gonna find out or not find out, and I'd rather find out at this point.
Yeah, we gotta find out.
Would you like to hear the penis description
every day?
Every fucking goddamn day of this podcast.
Specific penis description every day.
Every day. Okay, this is a little bit of a longer quote. Quote, a clear glass shaft with a simple bulbed head, all surrounding a thick internal column of the red cherry punch that filled Red's body. The punch surged in and out of the closed-ended tube in colorful eddies, making it jump and pulse in my palm as I stroked.
But it's glass? But it pulses?
Yeah.
Confusing.
But
that's glass person lifestyle, though.
It's see-through, right? So
yeah,
you can
that part I get.
Yeah. Okay. This is not going to be the end. So given you shall receive, as she's kind of giving him a hand job, he's like, I would like to touch you too. And he pushes her shorts aside and starts fingering her. I'm going to let you know that there's a lot of dirty talk that happens, but I really want to save it for a specific moment later on. So just know that will be addressed. We will be teasing to that later. Okay. I will also give a slight aside that, as you asked about glass dildos, Jules admits that she has always lusted after glass dildos, but has never been brave enough to try one. And now she feels like she's been missing out.
Yeah, I bet.
Because, his I would also argue, his fingers are glass, and if he's fingering her, is that
Right.
essentially the same thing as what his penis is going to be like?
I would imagine that texturally it's similar or the same because he's
Yeah.
entirely made of glass.
Yeah. Up until this point, Jules thinks they've been kind of skirting around something they can't come back. I would argue you guys are already there. Like,
look, we cannot turn around from this point.
We have raw-handed the dick.
Yeah.
And he has inserted a finger. I think we have now passed it. But she thinks technically we could come back from, we could pull back and act like this never happened.
Come back from this is hilarious.
So when he asks to get her pants off, she hesitates. Will she cross this line with her stepbrother, who's a giant sentient glass jug?
I think you mean to say her brother, who is a man who happens to be a glass pitcher full of liquid.
The hard lifestyle of those pitcher men.
The glass lifestyle of those men who happen to be
the glass lives. But the answer is yes. She is going to cross this line.
Yeah.
She strips those clothing off as quickly as she possibly can and sits on the edge of her bench at the request of Red, who comes down to give her oral. I know what you're going to ask.
Very carefully. Oral, very carefully as to not slosh.
I know you were going to go there. All the positions in this book are careful not to tip over his chill assist punch.
Don't drop that chill assist.
No, but it will play a role. So while discussing chill assist, it is insinuated, but not directly correlated, that not only is Red saliva punch, but in fact, his tongue is made up of a stream of the punch.
Interesting. It's just like make it out with a faucet.
It's literally like a faucet.
And the faucet is punch.
Yeah, that's like
drinking it all the time, or is it just that texture? But
I feel like it's circulating, like it's liquid that's circulating. So like he goes down on her, right? And so like it's like a pressure thing, like almost like a water pressure thing.
My concern is if you're making out, will you drown? But it seems like no, maybe. But
they do make out, and that was not as well described, so I didn't put it in because it was kind of confusing because his mouth is so big and his face is so big, right? He is able to like distort his dimensions. So I know exactly what you mean. It's like in any given SpongeBob episode when SpongeBob has the ability to make his face very small with his body. So he's able to like make it a little smaller to fit her mouth, but then she does address like, yes, she can taste his chill assist.
She can taste his chill assist, cherry chill assist
at all times.
I want you to know I'm suspending my disbelief way up high in the roly-poly sky, but I am in my heart of hearts so concerned about sticky juice on your lady business.
Trust me, we're going to talk about it.
Continue.
We are never disappointed by Vera Valentine.
I imagine it's going to work out.
Yes. So she does go down on him for like a hot minute, but then they do get to the main event of penetration. Like he doesn't finish in her mouth or anything. Like he's like, nah, I want to do this inside you.
Yeah, he would taste like cherry chill assist though.
We'll get to it. Okay. Just fucking wait. How many times do I have to say we'll get to it?
Sorry.
Okay. So when I tell you that things get wet and wild, it is an understatement.
Wet and wild.
He warns her that when he finishes, he, quote, swells. And that there's a lot to give. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Generous.
But before I get to the main event, I do want to come back to that topic of dirty talk.
Uh-huh.
This is a direct quote.
I'm ready.
Quote, gonna fill you up to the top, my good little cup. The good little cup becomes her nickname, and it very much feels like the Beauty and the Beast, like little cup chip. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I know that that's crossing boundaries, but that's where my head went immediately. I was like, little cup. What little cup do I know?
Crazy. The only other sentient cup I know.
The only other sentient cup I know. Anyway, but how does she respond to this type of dirty talk? Quote, make me your good little cup, Red. I'm so thirsty.
That, to be fair, works better than whatever he just said.
Yeah. And when he's about ready to finish, he says, "You're going to drain me, Jules. I'm going to quench. I'm going to, oh, yeah."
Now, but the problem is that I wrote a completely different not podcast friendly, but like not affiliated with any brand's catchphrase, because I didn't assume that this would actually come up verbatim. So when you see my picture, he's gonna have a fun alternate, not "oh yeah" catchphrase.
And not trademarked, "oh, yeah."
Yeah, no, I just want you to be advance prepared when you see my drawing that this is not what my red is saying. But
You took creative liberties. That's okay.
I wasn't sure if we were gonna. Well, like he's chill assist, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't know if he'd get to say, "Oh yeah."
That's fair. That's fair. So obviously the main event comes. He comes. So what happens when he comes? She describes it as a water balloon gushing inside of her and literal buckets splashing out of her.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literal buckets.
Literal buckets. When they come down from the high of the sex and orgasms, she realizes it's a crimson splash zone in this sauna. Not only is it all over the floor, but it's all over her lower half. She's like, our parents are going to be home anytime, like literally at any point.
They're gonna know.
And they're going to know what happened here. Red assures her that their parents have no idea how he has sex. They barely know how he even exists.
That seems really immature, like irresponsible on the parents' part to not
Where
know. Where
are you getting parenting books about that, though?
No, I know, but you gotta go to a doctor. You gotta try. Did someone raised him from a baby pitcher? No,
that's very true.
And you've just not known or tried to know how he's functioning biologically at all.
Yeah. So he decides they're going to tell their parents that he tripped and fell when the branch came down, and she helped him back up, and that's why he like splashed. Was a splash zone.
Yeah.
He points out though that his punch is all over her pelvic region. It's like very obvious where it's centered at on her body.
Right.
And then she comes to the sudden realization, what is his punch? Is this like his blood or like other bodily functions that he may have going on? Am I going to get a terrible UTI from this?
Inquiring minds want to know.
He says, quote, and this is a longer quote, "I'm sugar-free. You're fine. I promise. It's not blood. It's just me. I guess it's come too, at least when I get off. I have to jerk off in the shower all the time so that I don't tie-dye my sheets. And it's a pain in the ass. But it's definitely not, other stuff, like gross stuff."
I mean, I know that it's juice.
I mean,
that's great.
I mean, we know by this point it is chill assist.
Yeah, I'm not certain that being sugar-free means it's fine in your lady bits. I will continue to suspend my disbelief high in the sky.
Because I didn't want to spoil anything about the book, there were so many warnings at the beginning of this book, and one of them included an extensive warning about, hey, be careful about what you're putting in your body. Do not be putting
chill assist in your body,
glassware, anything like that is not meant to be in there. Yes. Okay?
Please. Be so careful.
Vera, she looks out for us. She looks out for us out here.
She does.
She then is, again, concerned about how much juice he's losing, right? Because his little juice line on his jug is going down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He recounts the time when he was a kid and got tipped over and lost all the punch in his body. And while it was uncomfortable, he was fine. So he's like, you know what? Like, I have gallons to go. Like, I'm fine. But maybe there's a way to get out of this. Because if we really want to make it believable that I fell over and you helped me up and stuff, we should maybe turn on the tap.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And what he essentially is getting at is that he is going to get a blowjob of sorts so that he can get his punch all over her.
Yeah, I had assumed.
Yeah. Okay. And that's exactly what she does. So with a
Amazing.
little bit of oral and a lot of bit of boob job.
And absolutely no refractory period.
Yes. He gives her spray city all over, and she's loving it. We are nearing the end of our book. I would like to ask you at this point what you think we're going to conclude with.
Well, I hope that they pull off their big lie and they're like, yeah, he tripped and it covered me in juice and that's what happened. And their parents are like, okay, cool. I'm a little bit scared that it's not going to fool the parents, A, and that B, they're going to be like, I am the biological mother of this juice.
Oh.
Like a surprise, you actually are related.
Surprise. No, I will tell you right now, this is I would have disclosed incest. But
right,
no.
that's so true.
Yeah,
we're more responsible than that. I also just now remembered. I must have really not wanted to remember that the dad fucked juice packets.
Yeah, he did. He sure did.
Forget about me.
So now that they've painted the sauna and themselves red, they take stock of the situation and find out that they somehow fucked so hard that the tree limb jiggled out of the way enough to create enough of a gap for Jules to like shimmy out of the sauna and remove you know, she cleaned up the situation so he could get out.
Opened the door.
When they finally escape the sauna and they call their parents, they find out that their parents got a little too drunk at the taco place and got a hotel for the night. So they are in the clear from mom and dad.
How far away is the taco place and how drunk did you get?
Well, they had margaritas. That's all we know. Okay.
I will never know.
We have to remember.
I do wish I knew how far away the taco place was from their house that they just
45 minutes. They said 45 minutes. Okay. I'm just saying this is the same woman who met her current husband on a fiber arts vacation.
Well, that makes the world of sense. And I just wonder why they don't have ride sharing.
And he fucked packets of juice concentrate.
All of that makes sense to me.
Yes. So they're going to get wild on some margaritas at a taco place and stay over at a hotel.
And get a hotel.
So Jules goes to the shower and gets cleaned up. And while she's in the shower, Red knocks on the bathroom door and she like tells him to come in. And the clink of his entrance tells her that he's refilled himself with some ice and whatnot. And he's just checking in with her after everything they did. And she assures him that she does not regret it. You know, it was a great time. She really enjoyed it. But now the question is, where do they go from here?
It's always the question.
And they kind of give each other a look. And then the tension breaks and they're all over each other.
I was going to say the shower.
He bends her over and does it to her doggy style.
Wow.
And in this dirty doc, I do want to add that he says, quote, "Do you realize how often I'm going to have to top off my punch now, baby?"
Look, I can't help that that's how your body works.
Look, not my problem. Not my business, as long as I'm not getting a UTI. So after their second round, he confesses that he's been obsessed with her since the wedding when he saw her doing a goofy dance at the reception and he realized she was his dream girl because he wanted to be able to laugh with a girl like that.
Sure.
And while he pursued other women, he realized that he needed to stop looking for someone else when all he wanted was her. And he wasn't going to bring it up yet, but he was actually going to ask her tomorrow if she wanted to move in together, even just as step siblings, because he can tell that she's been stressed out about school and like, you know, maybe they would just want to live together as step siblings, not even with all the, you know, bow chicka wow wow, which is exactly how he calls it.
Yeah,
bow chicka wow wow.
Yeah.
And you know, if she wants to leave school, the secretary person at his job that's really seedy just went on maternity leave.
The
so she could
job.
Yeah. So she could maybe get a job with him. And you know, if she doesn't want to have a relationship with him, like he did confess like all these feelings to her, but he also kind of told his dad a couple months ago during a drunk like confession that they decided to keep top secret. Wow. And his dad was really understanding. So if she was open to it, maybe their parents would be too.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
And she says, you know what? I really need a fresh start with my life. And I do want to explore this thing between us. And he asks, quote, Are you actually saying yes to living with, dating, and sleeping with your stepbrother, you sinful deviant? And she responds with, oh, yeah.
Great.
The end.
Great.
Claps all around.
Amazing.
Claps all around.
Claps all around.
How do you feel?
I'm glad that Jules' reaction to that was, oh yeah, because as you were saying it to me, my reaction was, this guy is crazy.
But I had to like think about it because I was like, when did he come up with this plan that they were going to live together?
If you had asked her that tomorrow and these events had not happened, she would think you were a creep who watches hentai in the living room.
Literally.
And she would have said no.
Literally. Wild course of events. I will say, yes. The watching hentai in the living room is unredeemable to me, but I will say that, yes, he did come off as a lot more caring and giving and loving.
He did, yes.
In the actual story.
Yeah.
Let's quick go through our scorecard. Diversity, obviously.
This is the first time I've encountered a man who happens to be a glass pitcher full of liquid.
I will say, too, I did not disclose this. I believe that Jules identifies who her father is and that he might be a man of color. So there is also a chance that, and I apologize, I didn't write it down, but there is like, because she talks about her curls and like the humidity and stuff of her curls. And so there is that. And I will also say that they refer to him being very big multiple times, right? And having a round stomach.
Red.
Well, yes, but I'm saying plus size representation matters.
Yes.
So
I'll give them had a plus size guy, but what we'll give you instead is a plus size man who happens to be a glass
jug. You gotta fit enough liquid. Yeah. Okay. Plot. How you feeling? Where are you at? I'm a little indecisive.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna give it 5. What I was gonna say was 10s, 10s, 10s across the board, but obviously that's not our grade scale. So
no, that is not how we work.
That's just my enthusiasm.
I'm going to give the smut a 5 because I don't like having 2 smut scenes essentially, and one of them like covered pretty much everything I would be curious about regarding this.
Questions were answered. Give it a 5.
You're going to give it a 5 too?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to have you look at this cover and inform our audience, which by the way, it is not an AI cover. They do have an illustrator listed on it.
It's Kit Fox art. Thanks, Kit Fox art.
Yes. Will you describe it?
Oh my God. So in the background, I'm gonna say it's fall. Very autumnal.
It is fall.
Looking. There's just a little bit of sky, and it's very orange and autumnal. And then there's a big wooden outdoor sauna. Kind of looks like a huge barrel. And
it does.
And within that huge barrel of a sauna is Jules, who is wrapped in a towel and sitting on a bench in the sauna, and it's like steamy around her, and she's got like beautiful kind of curly black hair, and her face, she does look a little cross-eyed, but that might just
look a little cross-eyed.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was a smudge on my screen, but she's feeling good in the neighborhood, and she's got her like hand on her chest like as if to say and
as if to say
and looking at her, so we only see him from behind, which is funny because he is a man who happens to be a glass pitcher full of liquid, is Red, who is a big, pretty round pitcher full of cherry chill assist and ice cubes, and might I add, dumps like a truck.
No, his ass
absolutely packing.
No, it is thick.
Cake for days on this man who happens to be a glass pitcher of cherry chill assist punch. He's got like kind of thicker glass arms. He's wearing like green swim trunks with flowers, and I don't know what that is. Pineapples with smiley faces, but really small.
Yeah.
I'm just interpreting, but yeah, his arms are clear glass, his legs are clear glass. We can tell that he's wearing sunglasses, but we can't see his face. He's got just a little bit of his juice kind of jauntily tossed out the top of his head, and it's by Ver Valentine. It's beautiful. A million points.
I don't know how to describe the font of Cold Sweat on it. It's
it says Cold Sweat at the top in Kool-Aid font.
Yeah, it is Kool-Aid font. Whatever
Kool-Aid
that
font.
is, it is the font that needs to be the font.
Yeah, it's that font.
I have to give this a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, give it a
So we are at a shocking 100% across the board.
Except
for both
it's not
of us.
shocking.
But here's the thing. I don't think we both have given 100% to a book.
Crazy. It deserves it.
It does.
It's beautiful. I am going to reveal to Sarah my picture, and she'll just put that on social. This is mostly just for Sarah.
Oh, that's so good, Hope. I mean, that is to a T exactly. Oh, and you said, "Hey, ya."
He's saying, "Hey, ya," and he's got Carrie chill assist.
No, that's great. That's actually excellent, and that's exactly what we were aiming for.
Thank you. Good. I'm glad. I didn't
draw
his dick. I mean, I did on a different page very lightly. I'm not going to show it to Sarah, but I understand what we were going for, Vera.
Oh, absolutely. What is your Say Smut moment from the books? From the book? Books as if they were plural.
I'm pulling my face in dismay as I try and figure out what I mean, not even within the smut scenes of the book. It's just got to be that Red's dad conceived him by fucking some juice. That's crazy.
For sure.
Flat out. Fuck some juice packets.
I want to be in the room when he told his new wife about his son.
I don't want to be in the room when it happens, but kind of, because I would like to see the birth video very much.
I also, my Say Smut moment would also be obviously him watching the hentai. I'm not going to drop that. But I will say too that him being like a water park in that sauna is insane. Like the fact that it wasn't just ejaculation, it was like a full splash zone.
Yeah.
Like completely everywhere. I love how many times they address the questions I had, like, hey, is this liquid also like your blood and stuff? And it's like,
every question.
Like every question that I needed answered was pretty much answered.
Down to, I know a certain podcaster named Hope who is going to be concerned about the impact of juice on a vagina. And we still are. But there's an answer for that in the story of this book and in the disclaimers of this book as well.
Sugar-free, folks.
And I can't emphasize enough how that cannot possibly be how that works.
And I will say that, like you said at the beginning, she puts in a lot of these fun little Easter eggs that make it like we didn't have to go there with the demolition job, right? Like we didn't have to make those little funny marks, but also calling her Little Cup, like hilarious way to take that.
Man, I'm overwhelmed with joy.
Anything else you can think of? I mean, like I just felt like this was a masterpiece. I don't know why it has a 3.5. That's ridiculous. No notes across the board. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. You can find us, if you so choose, on TikTok or Instagram at saysmutpodcast. Additionally, we'd love to hear book recommendations. Send those our way via email at saysmutpodcast@gmail.com. Hope, how would you feel if I did like a Christmas in July book, maybe?
Oh, yeah. I'm always down for Christmas.
I have so many Christmas books. I don't think we have enough time.
Let me say I'm a ho, ho, ho for Christmas in July.
Absolutely. Maybe that'll be our upcoming picks.
Love it.
You can, like we said earlier, pop us a rating or review on the podcast platform of your choosing. Don't send us mean stuff just to send us mean stuff. Send us mean stuff that is
constructive.
Constructive, or maybe we'll never see it in our lives and never be emotionally harmed by it.
Or just don't send us mean stuff.
That'd be great. Excellent.
Hold that in your heart.
Yeah. Or give us a couple chances. Don't judge off the bat. Maybe this wasn't a 10 out of 10 book for you, a 5 out of 5, 100% book for you, but we could be 100% podcast for you down the way.
That's true.
In the meantime, get your mops out. Make sure to be careful with that sugar intake.
Important.
And don't watch hentai in the living room.
And don't set your thermostat to 60. What?
Yeah. But we hope you stay smutty.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.